And we're live. What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining me today. My name's Mark. This is Catfish and Crappie. Of course, I think everybody in the room might know that by now. Let's say hello to whoever's in there. We got 11 people. It's Friday night. Hopefully, they'll pick up. I know, talking about ice fishing, a lot of my subscribers and friends from Facebook are in the South, which is cool. I got no problem with that. But if they want to learn something, they know where to come. I just shared out my link again, saying that we were getting ready to hop on, telling people to come on out and hang out. And I thank you guys for being here already, and the people that were here early, you know who you are. Thank you very much, very much, very much. I see a couple crosses fishing. Hello, Betty. How are you? I see Brandon Cross out there. Brandon, what's going on? And Mo Creek Fishing, what's going on? Who else is in here? Robert's in here. Dockery's in here watching quietly. Finn was in here a few minutes ago. He probably just let it go. Idle. Hello, Finn. What's going on? Jason Lamb, the same. If you guys can hear, come on in, say hello, see what's going on. Basically, we're going to go over some, there he is. There's James. And Lynn Leeper. What's going on, Lynn? How you doing? Let's talk about this week real quick. Man, it's been a crazy week. I know most of you guys are members of the Catfish and Crappie group. Insane, man. We are at like almost at 1,200 members. We are at 1,200 members in like the last 10 minutes. It's been crazy. I want to thank my mods, Dockery, D, Chad, Damien, Alex. You guys have been approving people, having everybody come in. It's been awesome. I can't believe how fast it's grown in the last 2 weeks. It's insane. It's exciting. People are going to talk. The people have started talking on there a lot, which anybody who started a Facebook group knows that it's pretty hard to get people to do. But I think we got something good going on here, and I appreciate everybody for partaking in the conversation. Oh, there's Advin. What's going on, Advin? This is everybody. Secret Cup. Going a little late today. Just got back for the Dinks Outdoors. What's going on, my friend? Great show. I love having you on Catfishing Weekly with I was helping James. It was great to have you on there. It was fantastic. I'm glad, man, the community pulled together and raised a lot of money to get the young man some gear to help him with his channel or whatever else he needs to use those funds for. That was fantastic. It was overwhelming. So mega kudos to everybody that pitched into that. I see Fishing Hippie just came in. Mike Turner, 712 Catfishing. Justin's Fishing Fetish popped in here. Hello again to you, James. I keep seeing your name popping up, which is awesome. Trying to think what else we want to cover before we go on to this. Chad has a new group going on. It's called Get Hooked on Fishing. I'm sure if you look that up in the search bar on Facebook, I wish I had the link handy. Go ahead, join that group. Give Chad some support. Chad, if you guys don't know, he fishes, or he has fished in the past, a lot of multi-species fishing. So that'll be cool. Share your catches there, and the same as in Catfish and Crappie. So, we're like brother sites, so that works out great. Enjoy. Mike Greenwell's in the house. So what's going on, Mike? Palmetto Cats, what's up? How you doing? Finn's finally there. He's back in. Catfish Headhunter. Maurice Kaysen, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing? Ryan Bortz Fishing. Do you guys see, if you guys are part of the Catfish and Crappie group, Ryan's been posting some pictures of his catches off his kayak. Very impressive, man. Michael Morello, I got that right this time. I'm trying my hardest, Michael. Forgive me again and again. I don't know how else to say it. Kentucky Big Cats in Bourbon. What's going on, Tim? How are you? Tim, I just approved one of your posts. I don't know why it went for moderation, but I approved it. There was nothing wrong with it. I have no clue why that happened. Two Old Vets Fishing. Hello. Hey, people are coming in. We're up to 23. We more than doubled it, man. Cool. Maybe sharing that link helps. So if you guys get a chance, go ahead and share it out on your pages. See if we can't get a bunch of people to talk a little more. I got a little surprise, but Miss Coco isn't. She wants no part of it. As soon as I set something up to make her a superstar, she kind of turned away. What else did I want to talk about? Big, like I said, man, it's been a great week for me. Besides the group, gotten a bunch of subscribers. Thank you. If you guys are out there and you're a new subscriber and you're listening, whether you're chatting or not, I appreciate it. Hopefully I can get some content to keep your attention. Again, thank you. Also, bucket list fish. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. I'll invite some of you guys on here if you want to talk about what bucket list fish you have. We can talk about, how you go about targeting them, learning them. I got one of mine, which is a burbot. I got that that dogfish, aka bowfin, aka shoe pick, earlier this year. So that was cool. Betty kind of threw out a challenge for me to get that blue before the end of the year. So we'll see if we can't make that happen. But there's a lot involved with that. At least for me, it is. It's not like, hey, just come out and catch something. It means a lot to me if I can study and look into it and figure it out and head out somewhere and land that fish. I mean, anybody can go out and have a guide or somebody who has a spot put you on some fish. But man, it's like when I caught my very first flathead. It's very rewarding. So if you ever get a chance and you want to do something like that, don't pick something real crazy. Like if you're going to go after mahi, obviously you're not going to go out and buy, an ocean-worthy vessel to go do it. But if it's something simple like a bowfin or a burbot, which was delicious, by the way. We'll talk about that in a few minutes too, later on in the program. Who did I see just came in here? Norm, I think I said hello. Mike Sampson, what's going on? Sampy, how are you? Sampy's another great member of the group. Let's see who else we got. 12 Vits, I said hello. So cool. So yeah, that's a little bit about what's going on, what's been happening, at least for me this week in fishing. If anybody wants to get on later and talk about what's going on with you. Catfish Weekly, we had Dinks Outdoors on Monday. James hosted them on Lyle's Catfish Weekly. It was a lot of fun. I got to help on that, so I was grateful for that. Tuesday was Muskrat was Roger. He had Chad on here. I'm going to go back. I'll put the links on. I've been so pressed for time. I apologize. I'll usually put those links in the description, which is very important to creators. That's another thing we can talk about a little bit tonight. So Roger had Chad on there. They talked about the 1v1. Actually, I should go back. Let's go back to Saturday, since it's the day after the last time I was on. Saturday, we had the 1v1 with Chad. Chad, unfortunately, did lose. Roger did great job. He got 2 fish. Again, I know Chad doesn't like hearing this. I'm sorry, Chad, but we're going to have to say it because Roger deserves a credit. 2 fish on 1 Kentucky rig early on in the competition. The rest of the day was kind of slow, but anybody who does winter catfishing in colder climates knows what that can be like. It was a great show. 6 hours of like fun and stuff. We had some people get a little rowdy in the chat, which is fine. I can understand that, but I just want to remind you guys that we need to look out for one another. There are human beings behind those behind the shows, behind the content, behind those fishing rods, man. There are people. Be kind to one another. Give them a little bit of the business, but if you get carried away, it's usually not welcome, and it's kind of frowned upon. I'm not picking on anybody or saying any names. I'm just letting you guys know that we need to take care of each other the best way we can. Be grateful for what we do. Let's see what else we got going on. All right. We had Palmetto on Sunday. We had Catfish Weekly on Monday. We had Roger on Tuesday. Wednesday, we had Patriot James. Tuesday and Wednesday, I wasn't able to watch. I apologize, gentlemen, if you're out there. I did go fishing Tuesday night for that bucket list fish. And Wednesday night, I had some stuff going on at home. Thursday, Chad and Dockery were talking about superstitions. Good show. If you haven't caught it, go ahead and catch that back up. I kind of ended the show with mentioning the C word in chat, but I don't know. We'll see if those filters get put in place on their show. Today's me. So, and we're made full circle. So, basically, I was just going to kind of go over a little bit of the fishing stuff. If you guys have any questions about ice fishing, hello, D again. How are you? I said hello to you earlier. I want to make sure that I give you a shout out while I'm live. That's because you're that important to us, everybody in this room. As far as ice fishing goes, up here in the northern climates, actually, I'm right on the edge of the northern climate. So we get ice we usually get early freeze, which we kind of missed already. We're usually fishing at least once before Christmas. And we were getting there, and then boom, we got 40 degrees all week, and that kind of ruined it. So it'll take a while for that ice to, to the ponds to freeze over. We start on the ponds, then we move over to the channels, and then we move over onto the bigger bodies of water. That's going to take a while to happen, but it'll happen soon enough. So it's good to be ready. I'm grateful, or I'm lucky that I didn't have to rush through, and I'm able to share some of the stuff that I go through with you guys. and get prepared for that. Chad's in the house. There he is. What's going on, buddy? How are you? All right, let's start with the first thing. Let's see, how can I do this? Got the lights on here. All right, obviously rod and reel. When you're ice fishing, it's all vertical fishing. Whether you're using fish traps, aka tip-ups, automatic fishermen, things like that. They're hook setters. I'll show you all that stuff. You're fishing with shorter rods. There's a couple of different lengths. There's anywhere between, I believe, 36 is the longest. I've seen a couple 38s. Those are basically for running and gunning. Basically, what running and gunning is like when you're chasing crappies around a basin, which later on in the season they love basin. You'll drill a bunch of holes out. You'll drill a drill a grid pattern where you think they might be. You go from hole to hole with your sonar, and you bring one of these long rods. And the reason for the long rod is so you can fish standing up. So you're not having to crouch down. You got 30 holes drilled, getting up and down 30 times for 8 hours chasing fish. I don't care how, spry you think you are, especially at my age. It'll wear the heck out of you. So a longer rod does definitely help in that situation. Shorter rods are for panfish and tight quarter fishing like in inside of shanties and stuff. At least this is my understanding. This is how I use the different rods. Of course, panfish rods are going to be like what's called a noodle rod. They're soft. Some have really, really soft tips. Some of them have what's called a spring bobber. James Dockery, I know he knows what's going on. Hey, what's going on, Ryan? I have a sonar. I guess a Mark 9, LX9. Markham is considered a sonar. I mean, I can use it on my boat if I need to. So, but the display's a flasher. It's a hybrid, Ryan. It's a half flasher, half sonar. So I got the best of both worlds. Maybe I'll fire that up in a few minutes, but right now we're going to start with the rod. So I want to make sure I did say hello to you, and I did just see your question. So cool. Let's see here. All right, let me grab this. I got another camera here. Might ruin the surprise, but we're going to use it. Oh, James Dockery. Let's get James in here first. James Dockery, what's up, my friend? How are you?
Hang on one sec here, Mark. There we go. Hey, bud, how's it going?
It's going really good, man. I can't complain. Like I was saying, I had a fantastic week this week. Everything from catching that bucket list fish with the help. Ryan's in the room. I want to make sure he knows that I appreciate the help. He really steered me in the right direction with tackle and such. And I think I got a good idea how to meet what he was telling me even better. Silly stuff like a little longer leader, maybe going from 8-pound fluorocarbon leaders to 10 or 12-pound. If I'd hooked into a fish bigger than 6 pounds, I was worried I would have lost it. But that's another thing. Let's talk ice fishing.
Let's do it.
All right.
Now, what are you using for your hooks?
I use jigs.
What size?
Like between 5 millimeter and 10 millimeter. That's where we go into the whole ordeal with ice fishing being different. They go by millimeter size, and when they're tungsten, I couldn't tell you what those weights are, to be honest with you.
Oh, let me get this one here out of here. Okay, so basically what I'm using, and I don't know if you guys can even see this or not.
I can. You use like the long ones. I have a bunch of those.
I've got some of the long ones, and I've also got some of the short ones, and these are. They're weighted, but they're not weighted very much.
Exactly.
All right. And what I'm doing is I'm using these just straight off the line, going down, and I will tip those with a minnow or, hang on, shameless plug here for a second.
The wax worms. Gotta have the wax worms.
Yep. And for those of you guys that don't know what they look like, they are just little, small, tiny grubs is all they are. Oop.
You ever leave them in a warm place on accident and forget about them?
We're not allowed to talk about that, Mark.
Me either. Especially when the wife finds a whole bucket of them hatched.
Yes. But no, you can buy. I buy mine. Oh, and
nice.
The multi packs of them. Because you're using, or I am anyway. I'll use 2 to 4 pound test line when I'm out ice fishing. And I'm
going to grab something. Hold on.
Okay.
I'm listening. I'm right here, just picking something up off the other.
And I won't go any bigger than that.
I will use, if I'm jigging for walleye or for pike, which isn't very often, I might go up to a 6 pound. But other than that, I can't stress enough. 4 pound test, 2 pound, and 3. I'm getting an echo. 4 pound test, 2 pound test, and 3, even if you can find it. I think 3 is a happy medium, to be honest with you.
Yeah, also sometimes I'm even using the little 1/32 or 1/64 ounce jig heads. And I'll tip those with a minnow or a small piece of night crawler or earthworm or even a waxworm. Just just for that little bit of extra scent and flavor.
And another thing for everybody out there, 777 Outdoors. I see him just walked in. I want to make sure I say hello, trying to keep up with everybody. Minnow heads, man. If you can get like small size crappie minnows or like bigger crappie sized minnows, not necessarily them. A lot of times you'll get, what are they called? They're called the reds. I don't know what they are, but my base shop calls them reds. But what I do is I'll rip off like 2 dozen heads and put them in one of those waxworm containers, the screw on ones. I might have one here. I'm trying to figure out how to do this best. So hold on a second. All right.
And yes, hippie. I do believe those are called the rosy red minnows. And they are a little bit smaller than some of your regular crappie minnows or stuff like that. But sometimes I'll just cut the minnow in half. I'll just rip it in half and use half of it on one rod that I've got going out this way and one rod that I'm going out this way, hitting different holes.
Here's an example of like some of my jigs that I really like. I don't know if you guys will be able to see these because they're so small, but the artwork on some of these flies and jigs, I'm trying to get a good picture of that. I got a better, here, hold on a second. I got a better idea. Let's see if I can do this. I have a Coco cam set up here, James, because I was going to focus it on her. I'll use it for this. How's that sound? Hey,
there we go.
Let's see if that works. Can you see that?
Works. Yeah, that works a lot better.
That works good.
Oh yeah.
Actually, Coco's right down there. See, she's on the floor. I had it focused on her to be on the couch, and she kind of walked away. But yeah, and it's incredible because some of these cost. What's an ice fishing? No. You're not getting me in trouble again tonight, Mark. All right, you guys. You guys got me in a lot of trouble last night. So no. But you like the polka dot?
Yes, man, those are pretty nice.
Yeah.
But let's see. Somebody up here asked Fishing Hippie, if we use preserved worms and stuff like that.
I do.
So from time to time, yeah.
It depends on what the bait shop has and what they sell me. If they're going through a lot of waxies or spikes, they'll have ones that aren't matured big enough to actually get on a hook. I've come into that quite a bit. Not necessarily DMF. I'm talking about when I go to my local bait shop. They buy them by bulk and they put them in their own little, those clear containers, which are horrible.
Yes.
But when that happens, I'll use those mummified ones, or I'll use plastic ones, or even the Berkeley. They sell the little grubs too.
Right. And the main thing to remember when you're ice fishing is everything's slowed down.
Yep.
The water is so clear that it's not even funny. I mean, it really and truly is. And that's why you're going with a lighter, thinner line is because, I mean, if you're going and you're, putting down 10 or 15 pound test line, that fish is going to see that. Absolutely. You're not going to be able to tie that small jig on there. And, but yeah, it's a lot different fish. It's a lot of fun. It really is.
Who sells those crappie jigs? Why can't I whenever I'm on here, I can't remember the name. Who's like the big crappie ones that sell those minnows with the tails, the little swimmers? It's not Charlie.
Then you've got, let's see, Berkeley sells a line of them. I think Bobby Garland sells.
Bobby Garland, that's it. Bobby Garland sells the micro ones. They're real tiny. I have a bag of them somewhere here. I was looking for them the other day, and those I do really well with for some reason. The electric chicken, they're smaller than that, James.
Yeah,
they're half.
They're micro ones, right? I know what you're talking about, and I've got some, but they're in my other bag out in the truck. But if you look around, they've got tons of different, colors. This one here's Blue Thunder. This one is Pearl White. I don't even know what all these are.
They have so many different names.
Yeah, they are really and truly. They do.
I also like some of the plastics from Euro Tackle. They're a new. Actually, I got a couple things I like a lot from Euro Tackle. These Y fries, basically they're just little. They're a fortune though. That's the only thing. I need to find like a comparable one in maybe an Arky or an Acme. They're little tiny fries, and they have like a I don't know what it's called on them.
The little split tail.
It's got a split tail, but it looks kind of like it's like corrugated all the way around. It's hard to get that on camera.
Right.
I don't know. See what I mean? You can't really see it. Maybe a little bit. There it goes.
Yeah.
And here's the key for me for ice fishing. See, I'm holding it still, and it's still, kind of wiggling.
It's still wiggling. Now, see, another one that I'll use. I don't know if you guys can see different breed lures, and you guys can actually find him on Facebook. He makes what they call, I think it's either a bug bite or something like that. But if you guys can see those two little arms that pop off there, I think they're bluegill bites or something. I'm not quite sure of the name. I bought a whole slew full of them just for bluegill fishing. But those just a small little bit of movement, and those arms are moving around. And that's kind of what you want in certain situations when you're ice fishing. You're changing it up until you find the patterns that the fish are actually biting on.
I have, I put that meme on the group about me trying to tie knots in the cold, right? And that's true. I mean, it's so true. That's why it's funny. Imagine doing that with like 2 or 3 pound tests, guys. It'll make you rethink things. It'll make you retie stuff. It'll make you use leaders before you go out. One of the biggest reasons I have my shanty and my heater is my hands. I ain't even going to kid you. And if your hands ain't working, you ain't tying knots. And you guys can see how small this stuff is. It's pretty crazy, but it's worth it.
Yeah. But see, and you were talking about, doing this show, and it got me thinking. I usually start preparing for ice fishing during the spring. And
yes, I know what you mean. I know where you're going with this.
Because when I'm out in my kayak, or I'm out, in a boat, or I'm out in my fishing tube or something like that, I'm constantly looking around for structure. And once I find that structure, I'm looking at that bank for markers, to where, because I'm not taking electronics with me or anything like that. I'm just bare necessities. I'm going out and I'm trying to, to find these fish. But I'm looking for markers, on the bank to where I can go back and go, okay, look, I know that I was right here by this tree on this side, and then, line up with this tree. So they should be pretty close to right about here. And I'll do that all summer, all fall. And then once the ice starts to come on, then I'm starting to look around.
That makes sense. I do the same thing. You know what I'm looking for early ice crappie? They love, I got to turn this camera off. It's echoing here.
Okay.
Maybe we'll fire it up later if I need to carry that camera around. What I'm looking for basically is weed lines and stuff for early pike and for early ice pike and early ice crappie. And then you got to remember that dies off the further along you go. I kind of get a game plan together for the bodies of water I plan on fishing, whether it's, navionics or actually getting out there in my boat and doing that. So.
Yeah, and see, and that's the same with some of the ponds that we fish and the small lakes and stuff like that. Is you're looking for any type of structure, whether it be a rock bed, where somebody might have dumped a Christmas tree, or some wooden pallets. There for a while, everybody was using sinking wooden pallets to use, And that's what you're looking at. It's the same thing as your springtime fishing or your summertime fishing. You're looking for that structure.
Mm-hmm. You are. And here's a funny part. That works for me. That works part of the winter. Towards the end of the winter, they're in the big basins. If there's a big basin on the lake you're at, they're going to roam, which is what hole hopping's all about.
Oh, yeah.
There can be structure right off the edge. They might hug to the steepest ledge in the basin just so they can get away from predators a little bit. But it's a different ball of wax. Crappie will go deep and they'll stay there. I mean, it's exponential. Well, it's exponential, all the different things they can do, but I think everybody kind of gets an idea of how to go about learning what they do, which is something I think you and I both like to do, not just do because we have to.
No, I mean, it's just a passion, I mean, this is the way I'm fishing year round without having to drive, 100, 200 miles to find open water somewhere.
Yeah. It's incredible how much it changes even, through the winter. Like I said, early ice, they're in one spot, the long part of winter, they're in another. And then in the spring, it's totally different. Real quick, I see Chunky Cats in here, Outdoor Addiction. Let's see what else we got in here. I hope I didn't miss anybody. If I did, shout out in chat. We'll get there. Norm had a question. He says, what's your fish through the ice, Mark and Dockery? I guess he's asking what's our favorite fish to go after.
Anything that's biting. If I'm targeting crappie, I'm going after crappie. If I'm targeting bluegill, then I'm going after bluegill. We do have some small yellow perch around here in one lake, but they're few and far between.
They're not that big. If I want to perch, like we've talked about, I go down to the big lake down to Lake Michigan and fish during that whole time when they're in here. But through the ice around here, not much. I'm sure if you go north a little bit, I know one spot where Mendota, I know they do really well on the perch there. That might be somewhere to go. That's a long walk. I don't know if I would make it out there, but it is possible. Do your research. I mean, the information is out there. I mean, what you've heard of a burbot before I mentioned it to you, right?
I had, but hadn't really given it any thought of it.
I was the same way. And then I heard they're catching them on the lakefront. I'm like, I thought I was going to have to go all the way up to like South Dakota to get one. Or if I was in South Dakota, I was thinking that would be something that I would want to try. Right. And then I find out they're catching here downtown. It's like a kept secret. I'm like, I'm all over that,
Yeah. See,
and it's the same thing with ice fishing.
Right. You got to talking about those, and and you sent me that picture of you, the one that you got, and I thought, well, that's it. I'm going to see if I can find him around here. And Missouri just doesn't have a big enough population for me to go and actually target those on the Missouri River, and that's the only place that they have them here.
Right. Well, if you ever get up this way, we'll go out there. We'll hit them. I think they stack up pretty good, and that was what it appeared like. People were really getting on them. Like the 2 days before I was there, the last day, and then they were starting to bite. It was a late bite. We left at about 10:30, and everybody was starting to get hits when we were leaving. So I adjusted time a little bit. Ryan, setting hooks and crossing ice, says he hates ice fishing, but he loves fishing. Therefore, I ice fish. That's exactly how I got into it. I'm not one of these. The ice fishing community is insane. And I think Ryan in chat, anybody who does ice fishing in chat will attest. Those guys it's a passion beyond passion for them.
Yeah, it really truly is.
There's people that move to colder climates just so they have more winter to do it.
Yeah. Well, and there's a lot of people, and I'm one of them. The fish will actually taste different.
They do. They taste better.
Once the water gets cold and that ice comes on, it gives them a total different flavor than, especially if you're eating the fish that you're catching. Crappie tastes better, bluegill tastes better when they're caught out from underneath that ice.
Yep.
That's just a personal opinion. I don't know. But we have a lot of people in here that have either never ice fished or can't. Part of the thrill for me of ice fishing is when you're sitting out there on that ice, you can look across that ice, and there are certain times when the ice is just thick enough that you're out on it, and it starts getting that motion across the whole lake.
Oh yeah.
and you feel it, and and that freaks a lot of people out. They start running it, or they hear it pop. And
well, let's talk about that real quick. From what I've read, and I've done a little bit of reading on the subject and the science behind it. Most people go up there and they think that the ice holds them up, when that's really not the total truth.
That's not the case. No.
What the science behind it is it's like standing in a boat. If your boat has a 4-inch hull and is intact, it's not going down.
Yep.
You're floating on it. The ice is floating. You're standing on it. You're going to be okay. Granted, always, here's my disclaimer for my live chat. Hello, YouTube, listen to this. Always use caution. Bring a Spud Bar. Check your levels. Edge ice is probably the most dangerous ice that you're going to come across because it thaws and freezes multiple times. Be careful.
And
go with somebody you know that knows what they're doing, and go from there.
And they've got these ice picks that you can buy when you're for ice fishing and stuff like that. Buy them, strap them around your neck, guys. I mean, and they've got little spikes on them. They're about probably half an inch to sometimes an inch long, depending on what brand you buy. And I don't have mine. Mine's out in the car. But you can stab those in the ice, and it helps you pull yourself out of the ice in case you go down. But
and it's not like you need to push yourself up. I'm a big guy. You learn to roll yourself out, and you use those ice picks just kind of to give you a base to get yourself out.
Yeah.
Real quick, Jason Blackburn, J-Dog wanted to ask, would you rather fish for trout or walleye, Dockery?
I really haven't done much walleye fishing. That's not this year's plan, but the year after it. Trout fishing to me is just something to pass the time with. Mm-hmm. We don't have them naturally stocked around here. They're all hatchery raised. So, and the pond that they call it a lake, it's a pond, guys. It's not very big. It's maybe an acre and a half. Mm-hmm. And they stock them in here for us guys up north, and it's fun. It breaks up the monotony of either going after catfish all the time, crappie all the time, bluegill all the time, creek chubs, whatever, and they throw that in there. Okay,
now outdoor addiction, Jesse. Good question. He was saying that he needs a sled, and he just asked this question: what are some of the best internet websites to order from for ice fishing? This is what I found, and correct me if I'm wrong, James. Go to Marketplace for things like on Facebook, for things like shanties, augers, sleds, things like that. They're always for sale, whether it's Marketplace, whether it's Craigslist, whether it's OfferUp. That stuff comes and goes, because ice fishing is not for everybody, except those who have like that crazy. I call my flathead addiction my flathead fever. Well, It's basically fishing fever, and that just happens to be the fish of choice at that time.
Right.
I don't know how else to.
They'll go and they'll buy a whole bunch of gear, and because their friends and stuff like that are they're all going out and ice fishing, and they think, oh man, I'm going to do this, and they run out and they buy $300 or $400 worth of gear, and they go out once or twice, and it's just not for them. They don't like the cold. The ice is popping. They're not catching fish. It's too much work. If you have one of the hand augers, it's still a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and that's what
you're not hole hopping with.
No, you are not
with a hand auger.
No, see, I've got one of the old hand ones, and that's what I still use. And for you to drill down 30 or 40 holes, that's a day's worth of work right there.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. I have an Ion Ice Auger that I got for Christmas like 4 years ago. It's the first version, which is heavier than snot. It's heavy. Out of one battery, I'll get close to 100 holes with that thing. We're talking 6 inches of ice. I'm sure if I was up north, that's not bad. If I was up north digging in, drilling through 12 inches, it wouldn't last that long. But then I'd have multiple batteries and so on. We'll talk about the weight of gear going later on too. I mean, there's so much.
No, I mean, and that Marketplace is about the best that you can find, because these guys are going to sell this stuff to get out from underneath it. They're, So you can pick up.
And you can talk them out of it for cheap most of the time because they want it out of the garage.
Yep.
That's another thing you do in the spring. You look for those sales.
Yes, very much so.
And I want to add one more thing to that for Jesse. A place like, I know Jesse lives out by me. I don't know if anybody in chat has these, but Blaine's Farm and Fleet, they sell ice fishing stuff for reasonable prices. You can get an ice fishing rod that'll work from like HT, I believe is the name of the company, for $18. I'm talking rod reel already with line on it, and that'll get you on some panfish.
Yeah,
no problem.
And I've got my ice rods here. We'll go over those here a little bit.
Absolutely.
But and you guys you don't really need to buy ice rods, so to speak, in order to ice fish.
Mm-hmm.
Just downsize your line, to 2 or 4 pound test line, and what you're doing is you're watching your line. You can use maybe 1 or 2 poles, easily enough to absolutely, catch fish up from underneath the ice. It's just easier with the ice rods because you
can use a dock demon if you got one laying around the house. There you go.
Right here,
Bingo.
Guys. These are, and this is the same type of rod that I use when I go down there and snag those big carp.
Mm-hmm.
And it's frozen Olaf fishing rod, and this is what I'm taking up to Mendota. By the way, I haven't killed it yet, so I want to try it. But,
there's a couple of things that when you get into like advanced ice fishing tactics, you're worried about things like your jig spinning uncontrollably after a while. Things you need to keep an eye on, but to get started, that's more than fine. And like I said, those Farm and Fleet ice rods cost just as much as that, maybe even less sometimes. So
yeah, any of your home implement stores, Tractor Supply, Farm and Home, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. They pretty much sell all your ice fishing equipment also.
Yep, they do. They absolutely do. We got Chad says he's freaking out just hearing about it. You'll be all right. Yeah, and Jesse, I did see a sled on Marketplace today. Actually,
Lyle popped in the chat and my eyebrow started to itch.
Lyle, I got a message. Let me see what the message is. Oh no, he's just confirming something for me.
Yeah.
We got a new subscriber here. Where'd he go? Fish. I actually just had him on there. I want to make sure that I don't miss him. I got hollered at by our Angel D. Her and Betty are pretty much the live stream overlords. They watch all this stuff for us, and thank them for that. I think it's Fishman TV. Am I mistaken? Did you see him up there?
I did not.
Yes, Fishman TV. Welcome to the chat, man. Thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it. Oh, I also see All Around Angling. What's going on, Chris? Chris still he's hardcore. He uses a hand auger, and he digs a lot. So he drills a lot, I should say. Mm-hmm. Oh, look at this. They want the Coco Cam. Maybe you can talk while I'm getting this running again. James,
right. No problem. But guys, I mean, and you don't really need anything fancy to go ice fishing. You really don't. You don't need the expensive jigs. You don't need the fancy rod and reels and stuff like that. I think this packet of ice fishing hooks cost me $6, and I've got a rod down here. I'll show you guys here in a little bit. It cost me $10. So $15 plus $8 or $3 or $4 for your wax worms. You're set to go. And a lot of times you can kind of hold still, and that's what I'm basically calling it. And that's where you watch other people out drilling the holes and stuff like that. Once they leave them and they're far enough away, you can go up and talk to them and find out if they're going to go back to that hole. And if they're not, it doesn't take much to bust through that ice. And you can sit there and just kind of scoop that ice out a little bit and fish in that hole there. Yeah, see, it's like Fisherman TV said, $40 setup for the entire year. So it's a Coco. Yeah, she's not moving.
She got up on there as soon as I turned that camera off. She got on there. So we're not gonna. I got to do this for Lyle.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're gonna make my eyebrow itch here in a minute too, Mark.
Expect something in
I know. Always do.
Let's see. Papa Ed, hey, welcome to chat. He says Dunham's had a good selection last year on good ice fishing sled. So there you go. There's another place.
Yep.
But is that like a farm implement type store?
That I'm not sure of.
Okay. Well, maybe Papa will say in the chat. Sunfish Assassins, hello. Oh, what's going on? Oh. I think she's talking about the cost of ice fishing.
Oh yeah. They're catfishing setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about we got a big catfishing audience. You catch any catfish to the ice?
From time to time, I'll catch some channel cats.
Yeah.
But not a lot. And most of those are coming off of, they'll hit on a wax worm or a minnow that I'm using or something like that. Well, I'm it's just like regular crappie fishing. If you're crappie fishing and you're using, a crappie jig or a minnow or something like that, there's a good chance you're going to hook into something big.
You're trying to make it so she doesn't take away from everybody. I use for my ice catfish, I use tip ups, aka fish traps and such. I like the jaw jacker stuff. They're not cheap. They're like $46 a piece for those. But I collect them over time, and we'll go from there. I also use those for pike and stuff. Now, back to the question about between trout and walleye. I would rather go after walleye, but trout's a little easier. I consider trout a social event because they are stockers, and I live in a heavily urban area. So it's more of a social event for me. Don't get me wrong. I like the taste of trout. I like them smoked better than I do, baked or grilled or anything. But it's edible that way, but smoked, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, the trout, around here, they'll put them in November 1st, 2nd, 3rd, somewhere right around the first part of November. And by May, they're either all caught out or they're all dead or dying. They cannot survive the summer months with the water temperatures that we have up here. So by then, I'm already back on catfish. I'm our channels, blues, flatheads. Springtime crappie starts, right around the end of April for us. So I'm gearing up toward that.
We got Terry Lane in the house and Fisher Custom Baits. Hello, my friend. Welcome back. A hand auger. Let's see what Fishman TV says. Hand auger from the pawn shop already. Good blades, $15. Sled, $7. Line rod reel, $7. Yeah, you can get pawn shops to work too. There's a lot of stuff there. So back to the catfish and the traps and stuff. I'm just starting to get into tip up fishing over the last couple of years. I'm jumping around here too much. Let's get back to the trout. We have a couple of spots here that get stocked that are flooded quarries. And a flooded quarry, we're looking, between 40 feet and deeper in some spots. So we'll get lucky enough and we can still get some trout through the ice, which is always fun. That's if the muskie don't get them.
Right. Well, you can't really keep any of the trout that we have up here until February 1st. And you're not supposed to keep them anyway. There's tons of people that do. But starting February 1st, you can start taking 4 of them daily with 8 in possession limit. So,
gotcha.
And that way you can actually fish for them, all the way up till then. Everybody gets a chance at least catching some before people start overloading their freezers.
Gotcha. It's different here in Illinois. They stock in the spring and they stock in the fall. They leave them be for 2 weeks, and it's actually catch and release for 2 weeks. Only in 3 locations in my 2 counties that I fish in. And then it's free fall. It's 5 a piece, and they're gone in a week. If I'm lucky and I fish them hard, I can get them the second week, but I haven't put that much time into it in the last 2 years. But I've been able to do that. Explain Spud Bar. Do you use a Spud Bar, James?
No, I do not.
I do use a Spud Bar. Spud Bar is like a big chisel, maybe 6 feet tall. I think mine's 5 feet long. It's a foot. Yeah, it's about 5 feet long. Weighs close to, I think mine's a 12-pound Spud Bar, and it's got like a stepped, almost point at the end, a harpoon point, I call it, with a cover, and it's sharp. Basically, you walk a foot, you hit it. If I don't go through with 3 hits of that thing, ice is okay to me. I'll wiggle forward, and this is early on. Spud Bar, if you're going on ice, get yourself a Spud Bar. Very good thing to bring up, Ryan. Thank you very much.
And for those that don't know, basically the tip of it looks like a wedge. If you've ever split wood or you're cutting wood and stuff like that, that's what it is.
This is a tip up, Justin. Basically, what a tip up is, the ice holes are usually 4 inches, 6 inches, 8 inches, and they got 10s. Some people do 12-inch holes, and then you step up into sight fishing where they actually get an ice saw and they cut big holes out. I've never done that. We're not going to get into that tonight. My holes are 8 inches. That's big enough for me. If I'm sitting in front of a 10-inch hole, James, I'm a little nervous usually. I don't know what it is. I think it's all in my head. But sitting in front of a hole, you wouldn't think it's 10 inches big, but it's like this big. And as soon as your foot or your boot can fit into a hole, that's when you start thinking about it.
Yeah, that's when you get nervous. Yeah.
So basically, Justin, this is a tip up. Hopefully you can see it. Basically, it's this is an old school one. These are pretty sought after. This is made by I forget the name of this. Why don't I have Beaver Dam? That's it. I don't know. When I'm on here, I have a hard time remembering stuff. I don't know what it is. I'm a little nervous because I'm trying to do a good show, but I think I'm getting better. Beaver Dam makes great tip ups. They're not cheap. They run up to like $50. This one's a little expensive, and I'll actually show you guys why I like these. This is for my night fishing setup. So basically, what you do is at the bottom here is a spool. This is braid. We'll get into braid and ice fishing in a second. You hook up your line to this, you feed it down to wherever depth you want to fish. When the fish pulls on it and takes off, the flag comes up, you go running, you pull it up slowly, and you pretty much hand line the fish in. Yep. Is that cool? You know how hard these are to find, James? The light ones?
I like the light up ones.
Yeah, they're nice. And it's cool because they, when you, it grounds it when it touches the actual trigger. And then when it opens up, it goes off. That and a bell, and you're not missing them.
Yeah.
But
that's a lot of musky guys use those, Northern Pike guys and stuff like that. That's
absolutely
when you're setting up and you're walking away or something like that. You're not sitting in your shanty using those.
Well, that's a good thing to bring up. The different types of fish and the different types of bite. Now, you mentioned Northern Pike. Yep. I've caught Northern Pike and muskie, not actually caught, but lost as well. And actually on one of Jonathan's second to last video, he did that too at Mendota. They got a big, big pike. And when they got it in a boat, it opened up its mouth and out came the hook. They don't let go, which is why tip-ups work really well for those species.
Right.
Once they start taking the line, you still have to set the hook, and they're usually treble hooks. They're usually double treble hooks with stingers and such, but they work well for that. When it comes to fish like walleye and salmon or trout in the northern climates, I'm talking the big ones, or up in Milwaukee where you can get like, Ryan, I'm not sure how big those browns get in Milwaukee. If I'm thinking 10 to 20 pounds if that's too big, please correct me. Skin and Scales, hello. But I believe they get that big and bigger up there. You're going to want to use something called a hook set, something that sets the hook. These are called jaw jackers. And I could take a minute to set this up, but this thing sets the hooks harder than you and I probably can. Yeah, it's when I'm fishing for cats with my Whisker Seekers rods, which I have one over here. When that thing cracks open, man, I'd hate to have that thing. I actually had one hit me in the face once when I was setting it. It wasn't fun. I had a mark for a week right across, like this. Yeah.
Yeah. And the best way to explain this is back in, I think it was the early 90s, maybe late 80s. There used to be this. It was kind of like the same thing. The jaw jerker is for bank fishermen. If it got a bite, it would automatically, rip that big rod back and set the hook for you. And that was a big craze there for a long time. This is just a mini version for ice fishing. That's what this is.
We got Mike's Outdoors and Adventures. We got Kentucky Catman Outdoors Adventures. Hey, what's going on, Jim? I saw a couple other people come in here. Mike Turner, hello, buddy. How are you? Let's see what Lyle has to say. Maurice he's saying hi to Maurice.
You don't want to listen to Lyle anyway. And Chad, about as hard as Norm sets the hook. Maybe a little bit harder. That should give you a pretty good indication of how hard that will go off.
Absolutely. Let's see here. I'm trying to get to. There we go. I'm just trying to get an idea of how when the names come up, because I kind of wanted to say Coco Cam up there. All right, so we briefly went over tip ups here. Okay, so I showed them two types of tip ups. The Beaver Dam ones are expensive. These jaw jackers, you want to see something cool? These jaw jackers, if you're willing to make the investment, they have an automatic jigging motor that you can hook on these that sits there, and they got different types of wheels, so you can set up the different patterns that the fish are biting on, and it just lifts the whole thing up and down like this in different patterns depending on a wheel. Yeah, that's something that but they're expensive. I don't know if I do enough ice fishing to do that, but they're neat to see and they're neat to look at. So and there's one last one. Here's the cheap ones. You can pick these up if I'm not mistaken. These Fraybill ones. These are nice for a bunch of reasons. They're not as nice as the Beaver Dam because the actual spool isn't as smooth. Smoothness means everything when you're going to hand line a fish because they do not like any pressure. They'll open up in the winter because they're slow, they're scared, they're sluggish. So the smoother the spool is, the better you're going to do. But these work. The good thing that things work about, they got a little pouch here, or a little compartment here for all your gear, right? You can put your depth indicator in there. You can put, this one's actually got a double hook set rig. I'll pull that out so I can show the people what I set them up for. And the best thing about it is it's insulated. Your holes don't freeze.
Yeah.
With those Beaver Dams, you got to buy insulators and stuff. And it's fishing, man. We all know what fishing is. Yeah. See, it's got a double. It's a steel leader, and it's a double hook rig. It's got little flashers on there.
Bring it up a little bit. There you go, Mark.
Right there. It meets off in a V, and it hooks up to a spool. I'll tell you what; those hurt even when your hands are frozen and you get them stuck in your hands. So
yeah.
But that's the last kind of tip up that I have, and these work good. I started with these. I've caught lots of fish with them. So.
Yep. Now you're using those when you're not in your shanty, though, right?
I sit in my shanty and I watch them through the windows.
There you go. That's what I thought.
If I'm going after pike at a couple of spots over here, actually Jonathan was telling me about one spot that he plans on hitting this winter, and it turns out it's the spot that I go to. So we'll probably be seeing him out there.
There you go.
But there's some big ones. I've seen guys pull like between 30 and 40 inches out of there, surprisingly.
Right.
Nobody Betty, Coco's making you sleepy. Betty's never sleepy.
And Lyle, you can make the shanty as warm as you want. You really and actually truly can. I mean, you may have to stand in a little bit of water once the ice starts melting. Well, you won't because you're afraid to get out on the ice. But I mean, us brave men will.
You got the boots on, it don't matter. I get my shanty so warm I fish in a t-shirt if I'm jigging out of a shanty. If I'm over a spot I know I'm going to get fish at, or I'm doing well with fish, I'll take my jacket off and I'll sit in there. I'm cooking in there, Lyle. I'm warming up cans of raviolios. This year I'm going to start bringing some of those Vienna sausages you rave about, and it's a party. It's like camping and fishing in the same spot. I don't know how else to. Shanty fishing is that. It's going out, having a good time. It's not something you go out unless you got your gear ready to go and you're traveling light for a couple hours. You go out there, you spend the day out there. That's the way I go after it. So
you're taking food, water.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the whole 9 yards.
The whole deal. Which gets back to like the weight of gear. You got to pull that stuff out on the ice. If you don't have a vehicle, you're hauling it out there. And I've estimated with my old, I had one of those Evo 2 insulated ones, which was a hybrid. It was like half pop-up, half sled, had 2 seats built into the sled. The thing was a dream to fish out of, but it weighed 110 pounds, just the sled. Add 20 pounds of propane, which I was hauling out at that time. Add a 2-gallon bucket of minnows to that. That's 18 pounds. It adds up. And you're wearing 8-pound boots going out there. You got to think about that. So now I got a hub. I got a 950i, which is an awesome hub that weighs half the weight.
Yeah.
So I took 45 pounds off. So.
See, I've got one of the little throw out that you toss it out, and it automatically expands tents with no floor in it, and that's what we'll use if we're just if we're out there for a long time. If we're not, then we're just drilling our holes down. We're sitting on a 5-gallon bucket and we're fishing through the ice.
Mm-hmm.
So
I keep my bucket in my if I'm hole hopping, this is my setup. I got my oversized sled, right? I'll have a bucket in there with a bucket topper, the padded ones.
Yep. I
got another bucket right next to that I put my sonar on, and I just pull it up to the holes that I drill, sit down, pull out my rod out of there, drop the deucer in there, and just do that from time to time and go back and forth.
See if you can.
Yeah, and I just came to do that. That shanty I got, if you're going to buy one, insulated ones, if you're going to be fishing in really cold weather, I highly recommend the insulated ones. I should have brought that down to Avid's last meet and greet where I froze, my keister off down there. Because I bet you, with the propane, a little buddy heater, you can I've gotten it up to 70 degrees in there on a 10-degree day. I actually brought a thermal infrared temperature reader to see what the temperature was in that, and that was me measuring the actual sled was at 70 degrees inside of there, so the air was probably warmer. But then again, I got like a 20,000 BTU one. I got the ones you can cook over, but regardless, I'm off on a tangent like I do anyways. All right, so we covered shanties, we covered tip ups, we covered like rods and reels. Let me show a couple of my reels, the different types of reels that I use. Cocoa can wiped out.
Yep. He just destroyed the cocoa can, guys.
Oh, let's see. We'll get it back on her. There we go. Because they don't want to watch us, James. They want to watch her. All right.
I'm getting a reflection in my glasses.
Catfish. All right, guys. This is what I use for catfishing. Through the ice. I use the Whisker Seeker. Their 38-inch ice rod is basically what it's called. Biggest tip, no matter what you use, whether it's spinning reel or a casting reel, mono in the winter. Unless that line's going to be fully submerged in the water so it doesn't freeze, you'll be cussing yourself if you bring a bait caster or a spinning reel out there with mono. As soon as it gets wet and it's cold out there, it's going to be freezing. You're going to be wrestling with frozen, eyes to begin with. It just all having to do with it. Now, this thing I use in the jaw jacker. Now, I got a hook on here. Hopefully, I'm not going to take my eye out. But that thing, it gets bent like this far, James, in that thing.
Oh yeah.
So when it snap, I don't want to snap it just to show you because I am.
See, I've got this little. And this is just like a little small Dock Demon type one. The one that I was using for crappie fishing the other day, still out in the car. I didn't grab it yet, but it's got just a little small open face reel on it.
That'll work.
But this is the stiffer the rod. You're looking for your catfish, your pike, your muskie. You can catch crappie and stuff like that on it. But I prefer using and this is all the simple, cheap, ice fishing rod. This is all you really need. Mm-hmm. And this has, I don't know if you guys can see the little red spring bobber up here, but these little spring bobbers will indicate, the smallest of bites. And when that starts moving, that's when you've got something down there playing with that bait down there.
Yep. And it's the slightest little movement. You'll see that thing just kind of go like this, like that. And when you're jigging it up and down, you got to watch the motion. You get used to the actual rhythm of what you're doing. And as soon as you see something out of the ordinary, set that hook.
See, and they've got and you can buy these type of rods. I don't know where my spring bobber went, but you can actually add a spring bobber to one of your either your small kids rods or your ice fishing rods that don't have the spring tip on them. And it turns them in, and it'll make it a lot easier, for you to walk across or to see the hit on the ice. Now, my flimsy fishing pole, this is the one I'm the most proud of, guys. This one, I don't know if you guys can see this.
Oh, look at that. That's gorgeous.
That candy cane stripe. Yeah, I'm not going to say exactly where I got that, but I use this one a lot for, and this one is, I mean, we're talking flimsy. You know, I use that one a lot for small bluegill and crappie and stuff like that.
It looks like Fishman TV's up in Montana. Maybe we need to come visit him one of these times. I know I got jealous as soon as I read that. I like that so much that I had to put that on there. I can't agree with you more about it being beautiful up there. I was privileged enough to drive through there once, and I kind of wanted to stop. I couldn't, and I was afraid if I did, I wouldn't leave. So
that was us.
Tim Molina's in the house. What's going on, Tim? How are you doing, my friend? I'm going through looking for some questions and stuff because James, we're killing it already at like an hour, and I'm not even close to being done. Let's see here.
But it's just like any other fishing, guys, except for you're on a big giant sheet of ice. You know.
Oh, here we are. We're going to talk some fishing poles here. Lyle, did you see the?
Did you see that rod
prototype that Dockery has?
I see everything Dockery's got. I listen to him, and he talks so much crap. You don't know if he's talking about ice fishing or
he said you sent him a prototype. What is he lying to me?
Krampus cane.
I come more near trusting Coco than I do James Dockery.
She'll sleep right through it. Tim Molina wanted to see my sonar. Let me grab it real quick. If you guys want to give me a second, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Now, when are you going to start making these Krampus canes, man? Come on. We've been telling you. We've done all the advertising for you. We really and truly have. We've done the marketing for you.
He ain't lying there.
Well, I understand that, but I got to tell you, ice fishing's not my thing. Ice fishing rods are not my thing. But I would make one just to put some little whack, don't hit the dock with me logo on one for everybody to want.
You got an itch there?
Yeah, it just seems the itch just keeps popping up there, man.
So if you're out in a shanty, James, and you're setting the hook and you whack the ceiling of that shanty, does it go thump thump like it does in that dock?
No, it goes like a thoop.
No, it's like that. That's all you hear. So you don't get to hear it. So I hope that answers your question. But no, these rods are I mean, and you're jigging straight down, and you might be down 15, 20 feet to find the crappie and the bluegill and stuff like that. My arms aren't that long, and so it's not coming up out of that water. So
cool. For these guys in chat that keeps talking about the ice rods, I actually have a supplier that contacted me here a while back, and I told these guys about this. And of course, that just set James off on a tangent.
Yes, it did.
They contacted me about buying some, and I really don't make any, and I really don't. I don't ice fish. I have no desire to really, but it would be fun sitting out on the water with these two guys. But the guy contacted me, and I fooled around and missed the deal on getting a couple of them because he wanted you to buy so many of them at a time, and I really didn't have the desire for that. So I here the other day he messaged me again. He says, I've got a few of them left. You want? I said, well,
don't let that slip, Lyle. You don't want that to slip. We're live here. This isn't
I'm going to tell you.
Don't let that slip.
Listen, Justin Fishing Fetish wants one. I want one.
I want two.
The guy said, I've got a few left. I said, send me 10 of each. He calls me back and he said, I've only got 8 of one. I said, well, just send me 12 of one, 8 of the other. So I'll be getting some blanks in, and we're going to make a few of them just to see how that goes. Like I say, I don't know much about them, but I'll figure it out. I got Mark and James to help me design what we need to do so that there'll be
going to be a lot of red, there's going to be a lot of red, white, and green on that rod. I can tell you right now.
Be a whack on
it's going to be a whack right across the front.
Now,
let me show these guys this. I got the transduce. I got this sonar running on It's actually on, what is it called? Simulator mode. So let me tell people real quick what they're looking at, because they don't have an idea of what a flasher is, I don't think. So flasher's a little different than a sonar.
Yes.
This is a little higher end unit. So what you're seeing on the one side is if you were looking directly under your boat, standing perfectly still. And on the other side, that would be, is that the, yeah, on the right side is the flasher portion. And I'll kind of talk a little bit as to what's going on. I can't get a good picture on that. It's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can zoom it in. No, I can't do that.
See, even Chad wants to couple rods.
No,
He just told you no, Chad.
no, I wasn't talking about Chad. I was talking about this dog trying to crawl up on me. Here, I've allowed her to do that enough times when we was live. Now every time I start talking, here she comes. She wants to crawl up on me.
All right, you guys can see that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Looks gorgeous.
All right, real quick, down and dirty explanation of what a flasher is. The part on the, I hope it's on your right, the round part where it says 24 feet is what's called a flasher. Now you're seeing a little line that's bouncing at what the bottom is. So if you go directly at 12 o'clock on that circle, which is the very top, all the way down to where you start seeing the solid part of it, that's the bottom. If you look at the lines on the inside, they coincide with the 24 feet that it says in the middle. That's your bottom. Now, right now, that's simulating a fish caught. You can tell by looking at the actual sonar on the other side how it drew it straight up. All right, it's going to start again. Basically, what you're seeing falling in the water column is your jig. You're actually seeing those little like 5 millimeter jigs. You can catch those on these, which is why flashers are so expensive, because they're so sensitive. Basically, that's simulating you dropping your jig. Usually it's that slow because you're dropping like, a tiny little 5 millimeter jig down. You almost always, this is standard operating procedure. Go to the bottom, hit the bottom, come up. They like to see that little poof when you hit the bottom. That little cloud dust. And you notice how he's bouncing it off the bottom. They're going to try and coax a fish to come off the bottom. This is simulating perch fishing.
Oh, there he is.
Yep. And if you look at the sonar on the other side, you see how it's a little hump. That's it bouncing up and down like you're looking again at a boat sonar standing perfectly still. You see how he's pulling a fish off the bottom? By doing that, you can see the separation and how it's rising. That larger mark is a fish.
Yep, that yellow bar that you're seeing moving is your fish.
See, and he got it, and he's bringing it up.
Yep.
Now, those colors are important. The closer to red those colors are, the harder of a return it is. The more you're directly over a fish or the bigger a fish is. Sonar works by bouncing radio signals off the air bladders of fish. So the bigger the air bladder is in the fish, the bigger the return is. That's how you can tell with simple sonar. I'm not talking, 3D imaging, side scan, any of that. That's how old school sonar, old school flashers work.
And there are tons of videos on YouTube and stuff like that of guys using some of the cheaper model flashers, and you can see the exact same thing. Yep.
Exact
and
same thing.
You can literally watch that jig, and we're talking tiny jigs.
Yep.
Fall right down through the water, and you'll literally see that fish come right up, and that mark that you guys see where he's, you can see that white line coming back to that yellow one there. That yellow one is that fish coming up off that bottom trying to check out that little bitty jig.
Absolutely.
So,
here's another tip for anybody who gets out there to ice fish. If they're coming off the bottom, keep raising your jig slowly like it's doing. They can't resist that. They want to get it before it gets away. That's pretty much, you got to talk them fishing and biting, because they're not necessarily as hungry as you think they would. So, and the reason why they go after such small baits is because they're living off of insects and stuff at that time of year. They're too docile to chase, bait fish and stuff. So it's either dead fish or bugs is what they're going after. So there's, this is a little on the high end as far as sonars go, or fish finders go. Some of the other options are you can obviously change the views. It's got instant, so where you can see. What is it called on your boat sonar when it shows the column all the way to the right, where it actually shows like the active lines, like the real-time return of your sonar. Is there a name for that? It just shows a bunch of lines and they're flashing whenever something moves. Whenever you're going through the column, it shows the different changes.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know.
Okay, there's a name for that. You can do that with this. There's a couple
or something.
Yeah, there's a couple other settings on that and stuff. So if you can get on a dock, these work great on docks. If you can anchor a boat and stay steady, it's just like fishing right below your sonar. You can use them. Some of the higher models like this one, you can get boat transducers. So it's like anything. It's all up to how much money you spend. Actually, this one, I can send this one back, Lyle, and have them put a high def camera built into it. And it show behind all of this reading. So not only am I seeing this, I'm seeing an actual live picture behind the flasher and the sonar part of it.
Wow.
But it's high dollars. That's another $500. I ain't going to spend that. So
yeah, Doc and I talked about when they first started coming out with flashers. He had one, I had one. People that was fishing tournaments. My God, we thought the flashers when they come out with them was the greatest invention of fishing of all times. And now ice fishermen have kept using them, and I got to tell you, the one that I had back 30 years ago was nothing like what you got.
No.
Yeah, it's like anything. I remember going out with my neighbor on Lake Michigan when I was a kid, and it was actually paper that it was printing on.
Yeah.
I remember that. It wasn't just paper it was printing on, they had thermal paper.
Right.
So it would run out of the thing, and he'd hurry up and cover it up so the sun wouldn't bleach it.
I think the first one of those like that I had was printed on rice paper.
Yeah, something crazy like that.
There was some of them had thermal paper and some of them had run ice or rice paper, and it depended on the brand that you bought.
Mm-hmm.
But gosh, that was so long ago. I was, just a kid in them days.
Yeah, that's cool stuff. I mean, I get off on all. It's all basically the same stuff this day, only it's displayed different. And it's a little more sensitive.
Oh, that is so pretty, and ours is just they wasn't nothing like that.
I could watch that stupid simulator for hours. I better turn it off so Coco gets the attention. So
there's
another cool. This thing actually, I have this thing mounted on a lithium power pack shovel, which has a lithium battery. Right now they sell the shuttle that it mounts to for, I think, like $199. And if you know the price of lithium batteries, that's not bad. So I couldn't. Coco's moving around; she's getting upset. But this thing will last me a whole week without having to recharge. Running at 8 hours a day.
Wow,
pretty close. So yeah.
I got to tell you. Some of us have visited about some of the Mendota trip things, and I really, not that I want to go ice fishing, but those big yellow perch that you guys catch ice fishing, I know they intrigue James. They intrigue me a great deal. I understand that they're great table fare and they're like bluegill and crappie. There's just massive amounts of them. So I would like to eat one of those and catch one of them, but I want to do it when the water is liquid and not frozen.
You can do it. You know what?
We're going to give it a shot. When we're all up there, I'm like I said, I'm going to, my goal is to catch my personal best channel cat, which anything over 17 pounds is.
Wait, we got a thing in here from Betty. Says, did those things come over on the ark?
On the ark. I was going to get to that next. I want to say hello to Mrs. Skin and Scales. Hello, Mrs.
We didn't do anything to Betty. We have no influence over Betty. None.
Betty is my bratty little sister. From now on, that's my bratty little sister right there.
Oh, man, that's so funny.
And look at Justin's getting in on the smack talking.
Oh, of course he is.
Yeah,
very
of course.
Cool. Stan's got an old Eagle fish finder. What's that say? You know what, Stan? It would work. If you still have it, you can get it powered up. It would work. All you're looking for is returns.
Yeah. But no, the more, and yeah, we're still like, 5 months out from that trip? But
more than it. Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah.
6 months from
I
today.
guess that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm starting to read up on everything I possibly can about that area up through there, and some of the fish that can be up and through there and stuff. So this is going to be one of those trips that we may never ever all meet up and go on again.
That's true.
But we're going to put our all into it. That's for sure.
I think we're going to have fun. I also mentioned, and I'm not going to get into it a little time, to maybe sneak it away to one more location that's within an hour away from there. We'll talk about that later. I think that'll be kind of interesting. I got to talk to one person in the room here and a couple other people I know and maybe get some intel on that. And I don't see why we can't give that some hell, pardon the expression. So,
yep.
Yellow perch is tasty, Lyle. I really like it. Oh, hey, Art is here. Speaking of Art, Josh from 1 Ton made me a knife. Where is it? It's right here. Made me a knife. I got it yesterday. It's pretty nice. I've been looking for I don't know if you guys are familiar with a bird and trout knife. Bird and trout knife it's a small knife, usually scalpel sharp for taking care of small game. Trout is small for the most part, squirrels, stuff like that. I've always wanted one. A couple of Canadian companies I know out there make some pretty real nice ones, and he wanted to take the challenge, and he did. And he came up and he sold me this little knife, right? He even included a little leather sheath. It's got what would you call that?
That's an antler.
It's an antler, but I mean, what would you call a deer with one that size?
Handle.
It's a tine.
It's just a tine.
Yep.
With a small knife. There's small knives, but this thing's pretty neat. It's made out of a file, so I was happy to get this yesterday. I wanted to make sure that he got a shout out. Now that I see one of the 1 Ton crew in there, they can pass it on to him if he's not here. That I did show the blade off. I was going to try and take some pictures and post it on my group, but I didn't have a time, and the weather looked really bad, and I would like to get good pictures of it. So Thank you for getting this to me, 1 Tonners. I appreciate it. Art, if you could thank Josh for me, that'd be fantastic. Maybe holler at him, tell him to get on here. And tell him I'll show it off again if he comes on here.
Yeah, where is Uncle Josh? I'm surprised he's not in here.
No, I don't know. Who knows? He could have some family stuff. It is Friday. We're doing pretty good. I saw 35 in chat, which is really good for Friday. People got family stuff to do. I mean, even you guys saw those pictures I posted. I went out to dinner with the wife today. I barely made it back in time, but I kind of made sure.
You got me in trouble for posting those pictures, by the way.
Which ones?
All of it. Because Katie was sitting here like, no, that's not fair. And she's eating a bologna sandwich, so
we actually ate out today in a restaurant. My niece works at that place. She got us in. I was like, hello. So we kind of had most of the place to ourselves. It was pretty cool. It was kind of good to do.
That, Uncle Josh is out fishing right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, they're live fishing. Well, we'll tune in after this. We'll see how long we're out here hanging out. So let's see. Up and Stan's posting links out there again. Cool. I'm kind of going through all of this stuff. So Lyle, there's nothing we can do to get you on the ice or on a kayak, huh? One or the other.
I promise you'd never get me in a kayak. You come more near getting me on ice than you will on a kayak.
All right. Well, we'll start with ice and we'll go from there.
There we go.
Yeah, I just don't really have the desire for it. But, 70 degrees inside one of them shanties wouldn't be too bad.
It's not bad, Lyle. Once you get out there and set up, you're usually worked up a sweat anyways. That's why you take off that coat when you're out there when you get in the shanty, because it's a lot of work. But I'd be more than happy to play guide and get you set up if you're willing to come out.
If my feet and hands got cold, I'd be ready to head to the truck.
Well, let's talk clothing for fishing, Dockery. What do you like to wear when you're out in like the extreme cold temps? And even you, Lyle, you fish cold temps in the boat, right?
Yeah, but I got an enclosure and a heater.
Yeah, that's
he's basically fishing from his house anyway. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't have a TV with satellite reception in through there somehow.
If I could figure out how to make it work, I probably would.
First thing that's important, and you guys mentioned it, is your feet.
Yep, right. Insulate.
The insulate boots.
That's if you've got those, whether it's the socks, the boots, the the bibs, the coat, the gloves, you're going to be all right. Socks,
wool socks help. If you could wear, even if you don't like wool and you say they're itchy, the newer wool isn't that itchy. But let's say that you got this built in your mind that they are. Wear a pair of thin socks under them. Dress socks underneath wool will do it as well. More layers, the better. Get that all set up. You'll be good to go. You can wear. I'm trying to think of some. Carhartt, they make boots, don't they, if I'm not mistaken? Muck Boots work. If you got enough layers in them, you can get the winter one.
There's all types of different brands of boots nowadays that are Arctic Tech and stuff like that you can buy that will keep your feet warm. Heck, you can even buy the heated ones that you can put the little small battery packs and stuff like that in, and they,
they're USB charged, some of them. They get toast. You put them. You sit in a shanty, eat snacks, and wait until they go up. You hear them bells ring or the lights pop up, and you're good to go. Bratwurst is enough. It's funny. Everybody eats like a German when they're out fishing. They're always making like brats and stuff while they're out there. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying. Let's see. Muck Boots. Ryan does a lot of ice fishing. Like he said, he does it because he loves the fish, not because he loves ice fishing. I wear a brand called Baffin. They're kind of high-dollar boots, but they're good to 140 degrees below zero, and I don't doubt that. The exchange is weight. There's a company called Norfin that makes the lightest boots in the world, and they say they're good up to 130 below zero. And I once these wear out, I think I'm going to try a pair of those because 6-7 pound boots, wearing them through 8 inches of snow gets to be heavy on an old man.
Yes.
So, military pack boots. What are those military boots called? Those white ones?
I don't know.
There's a name for them. All right, well, let's move on to hands.
For the most part, though, I mean, if you're worried about your feet getting cold and stuff like that, if you're dragging a sled behind you, most of the time, once you get all set up, you can actually stand in your sled, and your feet aren't on the ice. That's going to help tremendously right there.
Gotcha.
How about if I sit on the sled? Are you going to pull me out there?
Absolutely.
I'll pull you right out there and just walk away.
Yeah, I bet you would.
Right out into the big hole that's out there.
That's right.
Eric, Merrick, how do you say that? Eric Massey Jig Company, isn't that the guy you directed?
Jig Company.
Yeah, he's in there. He's the ice fisherman living in Iowa. Eric, Lyle sent me to your page. He said you made good work, and I agree with him from what I've seen. You'll probably be getting an order from me in the upcoming months. So thanks for checking out the stream. And look how excited you got Lyle. So thanks for checking in.
He's a great guy, makes some beautiful jigs and stuff. I visit with him online once in a while. We're talking back and forth about once I get healed up, maybe him going catfishing with me, and he's going to take me to catch some of them big old crappie him and his grandson catch. But he does some excellent work. I watch all of his videos. Try some of the stuff that he makes. Sometimes it don't turn out as nice as his. Sometimes it does. But he's very good at instructional stuff for anyone that wants to learn how to do things. Or if you just want to buy some jigs, give him a shout because he makes some nice stuff.
Eric says he's on lunch, though.
Right, and if somebody in chat could go to Facebook, I think he's got his Facebook page.
He does.
Put the link up to his Facebook page in chat if you could, please.
And he's right here local in Bolivar, Missouri.
Isn't that cool? It's cool to see people that you're checking out their pages pop up in chat. It always is. I can't say enough how it makes me feel pretty good.
And again,
Stan's good at posting links. Stan, if you could go and look up Eric Massey Jig Company on Facebook and maybe post his link. Maybe we can get some people to give him some likes.
He's got a YouTube page and Facebook page. He's got her all.
Here, post them both up if you can, Stan. I would greatly appreciate it, man.
Again, like I told you guys, crappie's my downfall. I see that shiny object, and I'm veering off toward it.
Speaking of that, I love crappie. I love to eat crappie, as much as I like catching them. But that burbot, we can talk about that for a few minutes here.
Yeah.
I went to that fish fry today. I had an all-you-can-eat fish fry at a really popular restaurant for it around here. And you know what? That burbot tasted better.
Really?
It tasted way, way better. I was kind of disappointed after having that fish 2 days ago at what it tasted. That what I had tonight tasted like. So
was it the seasoning or was it the actual?
It was bland. It tasted like it wasn't there. It was too stiff where the other fish was a hell of a lot more delicate. And I had it seasoned, obviously, the way I like it here at home, which probably made a big difference. But, between and just so you guys know, I got the video all done, not made, but I need to edit it. I got all the stuff downloaded. I'm going to do a catch and cook on that. The actual video part of the catch is a little iffy because it's really dark where we were fishing, but it's enough to see it. But I will say that fish was way better than like real cod. Tasted similar, and then when I boiled it, I made like poor man's lobster. It tasted like crab to me. It was really good, really good. I'm going back. I was going to try and go back this weekend. We'll see what the weather's like. So setting hooks. Mentioned that Mendota had 12 inches of ice. I saw a video where they were out there with River Certified. And they had poor little Eric B out there pulling their sleds for him. It was kind of funny. If you get a chance, checks them out. But that's just a thing of some of the stuff you kind of face when you're ice fishing. It can really test your gumption, so to say. Is that the right term for it?
Yeah,
it'll test your gumption,
your moxie,
any of that stuff. So
you talking about them Berber? They're all, I'm sure, all white meat.
Yes, sir.
Now, for the population of them to where you can go out and actually target them, how far north do you actually have to go?
You know what? That's a good question. They catch them in Alaska a lot, and the ones that I've seen in Alaska are a heck of a lot different. These look more like, and Ryan will correct me if I'm wrong because he was just out there too. They slayed them out of a boat. They have a skin that looks like a flathead, Lyle. Camouflage brown with black spots everywhere. I was really kind of taken by what they looked like. The ones that I've seen on videos that are caught up in like Alaska and the northern climates are almost gray. And I'm sure their diet and their surroundings have everything to do with it, but it was still really cool to see. And you know what? When I saw that fish, it was a pretty cool looking fish, man. I saw a guy next to us caught like a 10.5 pounder. I think it was almost 11, he said, right? And wow. This thing had a head on it the size of mine. Mine might have been either a female. It might be sex driven. You know how in catfish, you can tell the difference by like the size of their head for the most part. Mm-hmm. They have different size heads. So maybe his was of a different sex of the one I caught. I'd have to look into it a little closer. But it had a head like Coco's.
Wow.
It looked like it was pretty decent size.
Mine was only 6 pounds, but I think I told you guys 3.86 pounds of meat off of a 6 pound fish.
That's pretty good return.
That's a really good return. I was actually surprised. And the meat was super dense. It was like more dense than the internals of the fish, so to speak. So,
wow.
All right. Hey, Lyle, this is I don't know if you guys can see that or not all that well. But where those little dots are, those are the only confirmed cases or instances where fishermen have actually caught those in the state of Missouri.
Is that
as you can see, that's on the Missouri River, and then there's one little dot, looks like it's probably right around Ted Shanks, maybe Hannibal area.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So
thank you, buddy.
And they're really not sure that those were even actually caught here in Missouri. So if we're going to go after them, we're going to have to go there and visit Mark.
Eric is part of the brotherhood. I call everybody who's addicted to flathead part of the brotherhood. Everybody who's addicted to crappie part of the brotherhood. So
yeah, that's me.
Thank you for getting those links, Betty. I'm sure Stan probably is getting them right now.
Yeah. Betty's question is, how do you fish for them?
It's just like catfish.
Okay.
Little lighter tackle. I use the J hook. Lighter lead. Lighter tackle definitely. I was out there, and the one I caught was actually on a light action ugly stick with a junky Shakespeare reel on it. It worked fine with 10-pound test. What I would do is I would use a longer rod. I have a 9.5-foot salmon rod. That's a medium. I will probably bring that out there. It's got 14-pound Berkeley Fireline on it. I would use that, and I'd use probably, like I was saying, a fluorocarbon leader of maybe 2 feet, because the one I caught got gut hooked. All the other lines we had out there had shorter leaders, and we missed them. We totally missed them. The one that had the longer leader, the guys that had the longer leaders, they were gut hooking them. You have to remember, gut hooking is not good when you're fishing for catch and release, but if you're fishing for fish that you want to keep, if you're meat fishing, you're better off. J hooks and longer leaders is the way to go.
Now, you were talking the other day about there was actually current up there. How fast is that water moving?
It was okay. It wasn't as fast as you would worry about. The problem is, when I was counting my 1 ounce lead to fall, it was taking like 20 seconds to hit bottom. So that's what, 20 feet almost. So that volume of water, having all that line in the water, was moving 1 ounce of lead real easy. Which is why I would go with like a pyramid sinker or a bigger coin sinker next time.
Okay.
But I'm kind of picky like that. I kind of need that set up to meet my conditions, and the only way to do that is by trying.
Yeah, this is true.
It's got them up vertically jigging for walleyes on minnows and crawlers.
Yep, they like live bait. From my understanding, a lot of guys use like glow in the dark tube jigs that are big, like 3 and 4 inches. I've seen videos of, which looks cool. And of course, they always put a little bit of protein on there.
Of course, yeah.
Whether it's dead minnows or dead suckers. I saw a couple of videos where guys were putting half dead suckers on there. I caught them using shad. The guys out there were using worms. They were using. You ever hear of this, Dockery? Coin shad.
No,
They were like half. Okay, I'm just talking like dimension wise. Like it would be like half the height of a shad. So let's say you got a 4-inch shad. It's, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches tall, right? In their height, if they're floating vertically, it would be like half of that compared to the distance. So they were not as tall as shad, and they were gold, but they looked like shad. I don't know if they treated them with something. The guy offered me a bucket of them, but we were catching them on regular, shad, and they were working well. Guys were using gobies that they got somewhere. I don't know where they found those, but you can't throw them back live. You got to throw them back dead, I believe. You can use them dead or not. I don't know the rules up in Milwaukee, but they were using them. Stuff like that. Nobody was jigging off the bank, which is where we were fishing. I won't take my little boat on Lake Michigan unless, I know the weather is good and it's going to stay that way.
Right. Yeah.
But we were fishing, right there in Milwaukee, and it was fun. We were there for 3 hours. We got 4 bites and 1 fish on deck. So, and that 6-pound fish fought like a tanker. It was fun. Getting any fish out of their bottom dwellers. So getting any fish off at 20 feet of water, with a little bit of current's always fun. 10-pound test on a medium rod. That's a good time if you ask me.
Yeah, that is true. So anyway, Mark, I'm going to jump off here, bud, and let somebody else come in if they want to talk. So
excellent. Thank you so much, James, for sharing all your effort.
Yep. Lyle, make sure you pay attention to your Facebook, sir. I've got a couple of things for you.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about that.
We'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dockery. Have a good one. So what are you thinking? Did we describe stuff pretty good? You got any questions, Lyle, that maybe I can
really did. I have to apologize, Mark. I haven't been sleeping very well, and I went in to sit down and visit with Cindy and dozed off, and I woke up and it was a 7:15. I thought, oh man, I'm missing.
There's no reason to apologize. I know that I got your support and everybody here that's in chat, which is all I need. I don't do this for any other reason than to be part of the community.
It's just fun. I don't want to miss anything.
Share what I know. Yeah, I hear you.
Ice fishing, and not that I really want to do it, but it intrigues me. And I didn't know that James was going to be on here, or I'd have set an alarm so I had made it. But
I did not. I did not either. He came on like right away. He wanted to come on and talk. He was prepared and everything. So I'm very happy and overwhelmed that he was willing to take his time to do that. And I know he also loves all of this stuff. He likes fishing all year round. He fishes so much. People give him a lot of business. But
just getting ready to say that, we give him a lot of grief. But I don't know anybody that fishes any more than James does.
I really don't. You know what? That says something about a person's personality too. That does the follow through. He catches a lot of fish, and he's not one bragging about it either.
No, but if you think that's going to stop me from giving him a hard time, it's not.
Nope.
I'm just going to keep pounding away at him. But yeah, he fishes probably twice as much as the next closest guy that I can think of.
I seem to agree. I thought I fished really hard in the last couple of years up until this year, and I talked to him when he's out there fishing, and I know for a fact that I didn't come anywhere close to him. So
Yeah.
I mean, see a lot. If he got that stuff on video or that I don't think there'd be a YouTuber out there that could keep up with the amount of content he could put out there. But that's not what he's about.
No,
I'm just saying that for a comparison as to how much he fishes. So.
But now, if he thought that he could put something out there that would help somebody, he would do that.
In a heartbeat. James is always helping the kids with fishing. He helps with the Missouri Department of Conservation, correct? He's very active in it. So, everybody gives him a lot of grief, but remember that you're giving a good guy grief and be a little easy on him. Not that it bothers him. He can take it like anybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And always remember, when you're dealing it out, be able to take it, because he's going to come back at you.
I can attest to that. He gives me grief from morning till night, man.
Yeah, me too.
And you know what? If he doesn't, I worry about him. I'm worried that he's in trouble or he's not feeling well or something.
That's exactly right. But he does really well. And Katie sat there with him and helps him videotapes. And every once in a while, she'll slip something by to me that I really like him hitting the dock roofs. And if she misses it, he's got the greatest son. Well, Harley, he'll send me that stuff.
Harley's a good kid. Good kid. Actually, we got any questions in chat, huh? I'm looking to see what's going on here. We're doing pretty good. We're still at 20 people in chat. We're getting there on a Friday afternoon. We're talking about ice fishing. I didn't expect too many people to be on here. We hit 35 there for a little bit, which was kind of impressive. So I guess we can move on to other things. So let's, we mentioned that Mendota trip a lot. And I thought maybe we could talk a little bit, since I got you here, about at least what I'm thinking it's going to be. I know we're going to set up that event page on the Mendota page.
Yeah.
And it's going to have some more details. We're still waiting to hear from people on places to stay.
Right.
We have the dates pretty much set. Other than that, the plan is to go after channel cats. There's a spot on that. What's the name of that little lake that we're going to be on? Cherokee, that's right. And you can always go out into Mendota if you guys are planning on going. Mendota is a great pike, muskie, perch fishery. I believe they got bass and smallmouth out there. So you can make it into a multi-species few days if you like. Wisconsin River isn't too far from there. You can use that as a base camp. I believe there is camping, right, Lyle?
There is. There's a city park there as you go into Madison, and I don't know what the name of it is. It's been several years since I was up there, but they offer camping spots, and they have the pavilion. And the last time I was up there, that's where everybody got together and fixed meals and stuff and sat and ate and generally shot the breeze. But, I mean, they packed that place with campers and tents and all that stuff, the people that stayed. Now, my camping skills are down to the Holiday Inn or something similar to that.
Amen.
These days, but it is a beautiful place. You're fishing for some of probably the largest channel cat you'll ever see.
I don't see anybody in here except for that gentleman, that Fishman TV, that would be close to an area that would be, comparable to that, which would definitely be northern Minnesota, right? Southern Canada. There's a couple. What's the name of the big river that everybody fishes there? That Luke. Which river?
The Red River.
The Red River. I know they have some big ones there, but people are catching them just as big in Mendota.
Yeah, I fished the Red River. I haven't crossed over into the Canadian side, which I understand at Lockport. It's not uncommon to go up there in 3 or 4 days and catch 4,000 or 5,000 pounds of channel cat. I've not been to Lockport. That is a bucket list trip for me, and I would really want to do that. But you need to go with some people like we're going to be doing to Mendota to split everything up, because it costs a lot of money for them trips like that, and it'd just be more fun if you had a couple of other guys besides just you going up there. But Mendota is a place that you'll never forget, and if you like hard fighting fish, if you like them tail walking like bass in 2 feet of water, then that's where we're going to be next spring.
And you brought up something that just kind of popped into my head. You're absolutely right about, if you're going on one of these bucket list dream vacations, you got to hire a guide. It's going to cost you a lot of money. Here, for the price of a camping spot, a motel room, you got people that have been out there. The lake's the lake's pretty big, but Cherokee's kind of small.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of people helping you out, people to hang out with at night. It's worth the price of admission. I don't care what anybody says.
That's exactly right. And we know we have a handful, and I don't suppose that anybody would care if we mentioned who we know for sure is going.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going, and Cindy and I are going. James is going. Chad and Dee's going. Betty and Brandon are going. If anybody else is in chat and are planning on making the trip, go ahead and put your name up here because it is going to be a lot of fun. Now, we talked about Patriot James going, but he lives way out there in North Carolina. And like he said, that's just too far, and I understand that.
I get it too. Too far is too far. There's places that I want to go that I can't just get away for at the drop of a hat. That's something I need to plan for at least a year in advance.
Dee says she can't wait. She's really excited. Well, it is, and James thinks that Roger's probably going, but it is. And most people, a big channel cat is 8 or 12 pounds. That's a giant channel cat.
My PB's 14, and I was like awestruck when I saw that fish until I saw that 21-pounder hit the deck.
So you triple the size of that is what you have a possibility of catching. I mean, they're anywhere from – I've never caught one the whole time. We was up there 4 days the last trip, and I never caught 110 pounds.
That's crazy.
It is, and for channel cat, that's just a big deal. Like I've said this many times, but Cindy caught 4 over 20 in 30 minutes. And
that's insane.
I'm getting tired of dipping them,
Yeah. And you know what? I can attest to that because when I went with Jonathan, we caught those 3. We caught that 10, 12, and that 21 in literally under like 40 minutes at the most, I'm thinking. It was insane. It was like one after another. When that bite turns on and we're going to be long enough there that 4 days – I think a bite turns on and off in like 2 days, 3 days the most.
Yeah.
We'll be there to cover it, and there's going to be, like I said, other fish that you can chase if you want to.
And if guys want to know why the fishing is so good, I'll explain that the best way that I can. It's in the pre-spawn era of these fish. They're going up into that shallow lake out of the main lake to spawn. And they're feeding up before they go on a nest, and that's the exact time that we plan on being there.
James Dockery says 44. That gives you an idea of how big the fish are up there.
Yeah.
44. I believe that was caught in the Mississippi, but I think they've gotten a couple pretty close to that on Mendota. I don't know about on Cherokee. I imagine if they got it during the spawn, they're very well. The Mendota and Cherokee, they're pretty much the same body of water. One is just kind of like a bigger bay that's kind of just divided by a bridge, if I'm not correct, and a small short bridge you can barely get your boat under to get over into it, right?
That's pretty much it. Yeah, Kentucky Big Cats and Bourbon said he'd like to go if it works out, and I promise you, it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to see a lot of guys that you only visit with online, and it's not about going to tournament fish, which is something that we've done so hard the last several years. This is just about going up there.
Oh, there's going to be some smack talk for a while.
Oh. If nothing else, you get to go up there and you get to meet James Dockery. And if you haven't done that in itself is a hoot. So
I'm looking forward to meeting everybody going out there. Betty, James, you, Chad, everybody. Anybody who's coming out there.
Looking forward to meeting Betty and Brandon.
Ryan setting hooks. I hear rumors he might be heading out there with Jonathan. I heard a couple rumors of a couple other bigger YouTubers that might go. Local guys like Eric B's a young kid who's got he can really jack his jaw a lot. He's quite entertaining. He's probably going to end up there. He actually has I believe his parents have a place up there, so it's even easier for him. He'll show up at one point or another.
Our buddy Luke Hinges is supposed to show up. So
Luke, I hear rumors, stuff like that. So
left a message that he was going to come up there, and if any of you have ever followed Luke around, you talk about a hoot. Now, Luke Hinges is a blast to be around, and if he shows up there, everybody's going to have a good time.
I'd like to meet him. He sounds like a good guy.
He's a great guy.
How you doing, Big Slim? What's going on, buddy? Let's see if we got any more. Just want to make sure.
And ladies.
And ladies, absolutely.
That's right.
All right, Lyle. So I know you had mentioned before that red tail catfish is one of your dream fish, right?
Yep, it sure is.
And where would those pretty much South America? Is there anywhere near or closer than that you can
Actually,
catch
they
those?
have imported some into the southern states, and mainly that I'm aware of is Florida, but they have brought some up, but they haven't got to the size they are yet in South America. And the trip that I always wanted to do, and it remains to see if I ever get it done or not, is where you go out on the big rivers in a houseboat, and they take you out in fishing boats throughout the day.
That's on my bucket list too, to go down to Louisiana like Luke at Catfish and Carp did. Did you ever see that video where he went on this houseboat and he spent like 3 or 4 days just fishing and crawfishing and frog hunting down there in Louisiana?
That'd be okay with me.
I'd be okay with that, man. Eating that all week, that would be good. I'm sure Creole, if he's around I wonder where Creole is tonight. If anybody's talking to him or whatever, send him our best. I kind of worry when he doesn't show up. Hopefully everything's okay with his family. I'll check in with him later. But yeah, that's like I have dream trips and my list keeps getting longer. My ultimate bucket list fish is that giant trevally, but I'd have to go halfway around the world for that,
Yeah, there's not around here. Those around the
No.
US.
But if you look up videos on YouTube, you see him, spooling big 6,000 series reels like it's nothing.
Wow.
And they'll just pull and pull and pull until they're done. If you don't get lucky and tire one out, or if you hook into a really big one, it turns into be quite the short fight or quite the long fight. So let's see what else. I thought about spoonbills, but I don't know if I want to go snagging. I'm trying to think of ones that are doable, right?
I will tell you, I've been spoonbill fishing, and when I went, they had to develop some of the new techniques, and all you did was sit there and with a 1 pound weight and a huge treble hook and jerk that thing all day long.
Yeah, I've done that. And maybe that's not on my list then. I'm not interested.
Well, now they have ways where they use down deal big sinkers. They keep the bait down and they troll along with their boats and snag them. That basically was developed by a guy in Oklahoma that fishes Grand Lake of the Cherokee, and he was very successful doing that. And now they brought that technology into my area, which is one of the biggest areas around for spoonbill fishing. So yeah, they probably.
That's where that comment came from. I just saw that. Sorry, Betty. She gets mad. She says, all right, just call me Buddy Jean when that happens. Papa Ed says, if anybody needs a cameraman, hey, that's one way to get it done. You know what I mean?
We used to go to Colorado all the time, elk hunting and mule deer hunting and stuff. And there was a group that I knew that went out there, and a friend of mine, he would go out there and cook all the meals for them if they paid his way. And all he did was fish them streams up in the mountains while everybody else would go out hunting. And when they come in at night, he had the meals fixed. And he'd get up in the morning to fix them something to eat before they took off. But they paid his way, and he got to fish and stay up there in the mountains the whole time. And Betty, it's not that I hate those; they're not that great at eating. They're real rubbery, and they just don't taste like they don't taste like catfish or crappie or something like that. But and the problem that I have with catching them is they're a ton. Man, when you snag one of them, they take off and the battle is on. Just a few minutes into the fight, it's just like dragging in a tree limb.
We have a new viewer just popped in. Megan Beatty, how are you? Thank you for watching.
Hey, welcome.
Welcome. I like to try and catch those live people or the new people here. Peacock Bass from Robert. That would be a heck of a fight.
Yeah.
I think the next one that I'm going to concentrate on, Lyle, is a steelhead.
I find them very intriguing also. I do not have done any of that. I would like to catch a salmon too.
Salmon, we can probably make that happen. It might take a few days, and it's a lot of work. But I recommend you catch a salmon from the shore rather than like trolling in a boat. I know you like dragging baits, but once you get the taste of that tug on that line, when they make 70-yard runs, it'll open your eyes. It'll make your heart skip a step. And I'm hoping to get that same feeling in a shallow river for those steelhead when they're running up the Root River and such. That seems like a real good time to me.
Now, the salmon that you're talking about catching up there in your area, what's the size of those?
The one that I posted a picture on Chad's one was only 18 pounds. They get up to 30. 30 is like that's like the grandpa. Now, you got to remember, when we're catching them from shore, they're coming into so-called breed, but they're hybrid fish, right? So they don't breed. So there's no problem with harvesting them as they come in.
I see.
So a 30-pound fish is coming in approximately, someone will have to correct me who's more of a biologist than I am, in 5 years. They go out, they come back in 5 years to spawn when they're ready to die. So you'll hear the term zombie fish and stuff. If you get out there early enough, you get them when they're still spry, you get them when they're still what's called chrome, and you hook into one of them bad boys, and you'll be happy you did. It's a heck of a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm sure. But steelhead's another one I would like to do. I'm not sure even how you catch those.
On roe, a lot of guys catch them on roe. They use glass beads that look like roe. Uh-huh. Give them a little bit of scent, and they bobber fish them, Lyle. Yeah, pretty much that's what they do.
I don't fish for the numbers of species that I did at one time, or like James Dockery does. Mm-hmm. But that's becoming more interesting to me all the time. But yeah, there's a few like that I really would like to make happen. And I love catfish and I love crappie so much. I mean, I could catch them all the time. But there's nothing wrong with a new challenge. No, I agree. And the boat that we have, because the way things are going, you never know when the other one's going to be here or if they're even going to get it done. But my boat was originally made as a multi-species boat. It was a walleye boat for fishing the Great Lakes, and we made a catfishing boat out of it. But now it's set up to where it doesn't really matter what you want to fish for, you could do it. So
yep,
I really like that.
There's so many fish that are out there. I'd watched Luke Hinge's video. Did you see the one where he went after those massive perch in Idaho?
I did.
That was from last year. I guess he held on to that for a year. But talk about a tanker. Oh my God. If I caught something like that, I'd be just as excited as like that big flathead I caught.
Oh, heck yeah. And like we was talking earlier, I'm really interested in tasting one of those because all the time I've always heard how great eating they are.
They're like crappie, Lyle.
Other than Luke, you're about the only person that I know of that really has caught them in any numbers.
It's a bit, and being from Chicago and living outside of Chicago, it's a different, and from thank God for Facebook and stuff in that aspect. I'm getting exposure to all different types of fishing. I've expanded my knowledge base when it comes to catfish and stuff. But it's a different world when you're doing fishing in a big city like Chicago. That's right on Lake Michigan. People tend to go after what's available to them. So we have coho, we have perch, we have king salmon. We got really big pike. We got big smallmouth up here on the lake. I'm talking about on Lake Michigan in general.
I'm not sure people knew there was that many different high quality species up there.
That's for a reason. Them guys don't talk. You think cat fishermen don't talk? These lake fishermen, they will threaten you if you're in their spot with weapons. Not even kidding. Did you ever hear about power line fishing, Lyle?
I've heard about that from different people, but I'm not sure everybody.
I know a bunch of guys who do that. Basically, for the people in chat, is they take fire extinguishers, they fill them up with compressed air, they create a setup, they put a big copper tube on it, and they shoot like 1 or 2 ounce leads out of it, connected to big rubber bands, right? And what they'll do is they'll launch it out like 100 yards, and that rubber band will stretch. On the end of the rubber band, they hook their 5 hook. It's like a small trout line, but it's only 5 hooks. They put their bait on there, and they let it out slowly using that rubber band into the water, and they catch coho that way. It's like, talk about being resourceful. Who would have thought about that?
Not me.
You know, you got a bunch of old firefighters here in the city, which, you know, those guys are fishermen. They like their sports. They're the ones that go out into the country and hunt. They're the ones that go down to the lake and they're fishing. And they come up with this stuff. I've done the same thing for perch here, but instead of using CO2 cartridges, you just kind of catapult them out there with your hand. And it's fun. It's a different kind of fishing, but it's, you know, making the best of what's available to you is what I'm saying.
Now, I know that you have a fairly small boat. And
I do.
You take your boat out on Lake Michigan?
I would. I haven't, but I would on a day that I could guarantee the weather was right. I am not so familiar with the effects of wind on the lake in certain areas. So there's a couple of spots that I wouldn't mind taking it, like in Racine, making the run over to the Root River, which is maybe, I don't know, a 10-minute ride. But if you got 6-foot swells, I'm not getting out there.
Yeah.
If I haul my boat 2 hours to get up there and the wind's not blowing the right way or it changes, I'm not too looking forward to that. So
okay, yeah, I wasn't sure how that would be because I know wind is never your friend on any big body of water.
Well, on Lake Michigan, it's different. If it's coming from the west, remember the way, if you're looking at the map where Chicago and where Racine, Kenosha, and Milwaukee sit, right? We're on the west side of the lake. In a winter, which is probably the hottest months to fish on Lake Michigan here on this area, you want a westerly wind. If I'm not mistaken, please don't quote me. Don't take this for, you know, the word of one of the Linders, which is like royalty out here. We'll talk about him too if you want. A westerly wind will blow the warm water out because the warm water's at the top because of convection, and it brings the cold water underneath. Okay, so it kind of does the whole convection thing. With the cold water comes the salmonoids, comes the perch, comes the big salmon, you know, comes the trout. So that's how come everybody's like going crazy. It's like deer season, but for fish out here.
Well, you know,
but if you got an easterly wind, you're looking at, you know, 13-foot high, you know, when the waves hit the breakwater, I've seen it shoot at least 13 to 16 feet up in the air. That's how violent that could be, and it's different, you know, which is why another reason why we talked about flat bottom boats and catfishing on big water. It makes no sense to me why you wouldn't use a V, but it works for them.
Yeah, it does, and after having a V bottom boat, I can't go back to a John boat. I can't do it.
Well, is it true that a V bottom isn't as stable, like from side to side, if you're standing still? Is that the deal?
No, mine's very stable.
That's what I kind of thought.
Yeah. Mine's very stable. We don't have any issues with that at all. And
Betty was fighting 20-mile-per-hour gusts today during her first trip on her own boat on her own today. Yeah, I read your post, Betty. Way to go. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Did you read her post, Lyle?
No, I didn't. We had to make a trip to pick up some stuff, and then when I come back, we ate, and I took a nap, and then come in here with you. So I haven't seen that, but I'll try to look it up here when we get done this evening. But
very cool. So
the last thing I seen was a picture she took of her mother out fishing.
Yeah, that was cool. That spot. You know what I noticed, and Finn noticed that too. He was in here earlier. Did you see that brush pile right next to that undercut bank?
No, I didn't.
Oh man, if you see that picture, take a look at that and tell me what you're thinking's in that. Right, sitting there. Oh, you ain't kidding. I saw that. I was like, bingo! Right there's where my bait's going.
You bet. Yeah, and I'm not sure if Betty's allowed to use crappie down there. I assume she was fishing for crappie.
She was.
But if she was and she had a catfishing rod on the board, I'd have just thrown one of them crappie on there and throw that baby down in there.
Heck yeah, and see what would happen.
Flat head, Betty.
I'm wondering what the water temp is over there still. It might even still be doable. I'm not sure it got that cold yet on her body of water. I know she's fishing a reservoir, right?
I don't know. Like I say, I was in and out this morning getting stuff lined up. We had a little trip to make this afternoon to pick up some stuff, and I didn't get to see all of her stuff, but I'll try to go back and catch some of it.
Cool. Hey, Lyle, so we're coming up on 2 hours here. I'm trying not to let these last too long. I know people want to talk all night and stuff, but I think we'll be all right. I did want to talk to you one last bit. So what are your plans for Catfish Weekly? When can we expect you to come back?
I'm going to try to come back this week and see how it goes, and James and I will give a shot. And as long as I don't have to do a lot of typing, I can type. They've allowed me to come out of my sling, and I can a little more mobile, and I can type and stuff. But my arm gets tired, and so as long as I don't have to do a bunch of typing and stuff, if I can, people have questions and I can answer it without having to do a bunch of typing and stuff, I think I'll be all right. But you never know. We're going to try it and see what happens.
Cool. Well, I'm always there to give you a hand if you need be. I'm glad to see you back, and I want to thank you for giving me that opportunity to be on there. I think it's been
we appreciated having you on there so much. It was awesome that you was able to do that, because
my pleasure.
I couldn't have done it. It was just going to be so uncomfortable for me, and it was a lot better for the viewers to have somebody to visit with James and carry on where they didn't have to worry about that, and just not to beat myself on the back or anything. But Monday night, Michael Chavez.
You're having Mike on there, huh? Cool. Yeah. I can't wait to see that. I'll be there in chat checking out. So if you need, and give me a holler if you need me to do anything for you in chat. I'll be your enforcer out there.
I appreciate it. Yeah, Mike should be a great show. I've tried to get him on a couple of times, and he had a great video out this week where they didn't catch but one fish. But out there where they live, they have an interesting way of catching bait. And if you haven't caught Michael's video, you need to go check that out, because they use gill nets to catch shad. And
gill nets, huh?
Gill nets, and I knew that they did that out there, but it was a pretty good deal. If you everything like that that's new that we don't do in our area, Mark, I'm all over.
Me too.
Use gill nets, and all they do is get bait with them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exactly back to the bucket list fish, man. It's learning that new technique, and they all overlap. Even the people that listen to some of the ice fishing stuff we talked about today, if anything, they're going to get tips on how to keep warm.
Oh yeah, good
right?
Clothing and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And Jay's is in here. Jay's Catfishing. I haven't seen him around. What's going on, my friend? Thanks for checking it out. Stan says, Mark's giving us, thank you very much, Stan. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely, Stan. You're
Mike's Outdoors and Adventures. I think I said hello to him. I've had so many people come in and out of here. I just hate to miss anybody. I'm trying to get better at keeping up with chat, Lyle. I think I am. What do you think?
Yeah, Kentucky big catch and bourbon. You're correct. They're not legal in most states, and that is. I actually think that's a good thing, but it's still nice to watch if it's legal out there to watch them guys do it, because it's something that I'll never get to do in Missouri. I know Missouri is not ever going to allow that, because they don't want – bluegill is a game fish. Panfish are game fish in Missouri. They're not going to allow you to get them to get your shad. So
yeah, Stan says they use them on the James River. We can't use gill nets here.
Yeah,
they're very illegal. We can't use sabiki rigs here.
But it was pretty cool. But he got a huge. I don't want to spoil the video for anybody who wants to watch it.
I'm going to watch it tonight.
Maybe a huge crappie in there too.
We'll watch it tonight. All right, so so Lyle, you're coming back on Monday. I'm trying to figure out what's going on next week. I'm hoping to have that bourbon video done. I'm thinking about maybe I'm going to try to premiere it probably before Catfish Weekly, if that's okay. I don't think you'd have a problem with that. What else is going on? We got
Chavez in chat. Welcome.
Oh, is he? There he is. Mike Chavez, what's up, buddy? How are you? We were just talking about you.
We sure was going to be, Mike makes him cooking videos, and I can't taste it through the screen, but sometimes I think I can smell that stuff.
You want to? Wish you had smell. If there was smell-o-vision or smell internet, it would make it worse, Lyle.
I agree.
It would make it worse. So maybe we're lucky. So yeah, I'm going to try and get that video edited this weekend and posted on Monday. That's what I'm hoping for. Knock on wood. I got some family stuff. We got Catfish Weekly on Monday, Roger on Tuesday, James on Wednesday, obviously the bait shop on Thursday, and nobody wants to miss that. And I'll be back next week. I apologize for throwing up and geared up. I like to think that this one came out all right. I had a guest that I have in mind that I'm trying to touch bases with, and we just couldn't meet up together. He's a newer YouTuber. He catches a lot of bang-up. Well, he makes some bang-up videos, and he catches a lot of big fish out of Southern Illinois. I was put in touch with him by one of the people in chat. I appreciate that. Coco says, thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. I want to tell everybody thanks for joining the group. Other than that, I hope I didn't forget anything, Lyle. That's why I'm ranting on here.
Dude, you had a great show tonight. I really enjoyed listening to you and James talk about the ice fishing stuff, because I'm not knowledgeable about that at all. Mm-hmm. And both of you was very knowledgeable. And like I've always said, entertainment factor is where you get your viewership from. And I was entertained. You guys talking about something I know nothing about.
Well, I'm glad I know something that I'm glad this old dog can teach another old dog new tricks. I'm hoping you teach me some blue tricks coming up soon.
We got that coming up this spring. We'll get together and we're going to go catch some blues and have some fun and then
cool.
We'll catch some channel cat up in Mendota, man.
I'm so looking forward to that. All right, so I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you, Lyle, for being on here. Thank you, James Dockery, if you're still listening, man. You're the man. Love talking to you about fishing. Love talking about fishing with Lyle. And, of course, Chad. Big shout-out to my buddy Chad. I want to make sure that he knows that we're thinking about him here, too. So have a great night, everybody. Have a great weekend. Get out there and catch some fish. We're still doing 1 versus 1. We're doing called out. We got a couple in the works, so hang on with the holidays coming up. I might have a surprise for some that are coming up in the near future too. So stay tuned. Check back with the pages that I have. Check back with the channel. God bless. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.